Hello, everybody. Thank you, Marcus, for handover. And I'm really pleasure to have the opportunity to present you our experience with FlexSim usage and going to show you maybe a bit more deep inside of our development and stuff we do with FlexSim. So hope you will enjoy that. And let's start with my presentation. Okay. First of all, the topic from my side will be really complex plant logistics, although I will be also showing some kind of really basic stuff to understand our concept. Let's take a look to my agenda first. I will, of course, introduce a bit myself and as well as my company where I'm working. I will take a look to simulation methods we do there and also demonstrate to you our logistics concept together with some real use cases. I hope and I believe that there will be still enough time for questions and answers. So let's start with the presentation. Yeah, let's first talk about some facts about a company which is called HELLA. HELLA is mostly focused on the automotive industry with two main business divisions, division lighting and division electronics, which produce, of course, stuff for cars, from the headlamps, rear lamps, fog lamps, other stuff for lighting, and also as well as most of the electronic components you can imagine. HELLA has about 40,000 employees all around the world, and let's say about 7,000 people work in the research and development area, where also me and my team belongs to. HELLA is acting in more than 125 countries all around the world, and we are located right in the middle of the Europe in Czech Republic. Me as well as my other 4 team members. We are mostly working on the verification and validation of production and logistics systems with the help of simulations, especially FlexSim tool. My field of study and background is industrial engineering, what I apply also together with simulations know-how. And I'm already working 7 years in HELLA company, mostly focused on that topic I have mentioned. Just take a look shortly to stuff we do with our department to understand a bit the concept of the simulations, that we are not just 5 guys somewhere in the Europe handling all the projects for the company. Of course, we would not be capable to do so. And therefore, we are doing also some other activities and having guys all around the world we are supporting. That is mentioned in the first square with the direct user support. We have all around the world more than 40 users of FlexSim we are supporting. They are from various departments like internal factory, operational excellence, logistics, and as well as manufacturing engineers. Our team of engineering excellence is playing there the role really to allow them work efficiently with the tool of FlexSim, to bring them the methods, to bring them trainings, and also to work with the optimizer tool. That's why we are there. And as well as with that, we do pilot projects, which means where there is really something complex, something which is purely new and users all around the world would not be able to handle that. We are there to help them, which means not just build up the model at all and bring everything to the business with the results, but also create such a libraries, such stuff like methods, which can be used by them. As I mentioned, also the optimizer usage, it plays a, I would say, mandatory role for us. And we are providing this service also to our guys all around the world, because of the fact that we are handling, especially in logistics field, huge data, and optimizer helps us to put this data together and show us the direction where we can go. So this stuff is really cool for us, and it can create a lot of value added for us. Go to directly the topic I wanted to talk about. It would be more focused really on the topic of logistics, and it will be focused on the stuff we create, which means, first of all, I would like to introduce you the concept, how the logistics works in HELLA, which means that there is the assembly line where the technicians are really handling KLTs, roll containers, and other packaging units from the empties to full packages to some supermarkets and storage areas. And they are then loading it to the tugger trains, and they are unloading, of course, the tugger trains. Then there is, of course, in the middle of it, the internal store, which is used for, let's say, repackaging, some semi-products, as well as to hand over the products from the external stores where the trucks and other ways of transport are used. This all we are covering with our simulation methods and with our simulation models, and that's all what we can also evaluate for logistics. Our concept is pretty much easy, let's call it like that. We have a template, which is more or less the FlexSim, having a lot of user commands, global tables, already predefined triggers, dashboards, AGV networks, whatever stuff can handle the FlexSim itself inside to be ready to be used by really users who doesn't have the programming skills and the other stuff. And together with that, there are also libraries, as you can see also visually with, I don't know, our logos, our really stuff like workstations, like supermarkets. So everything which is really visually also familiar with the stuff we have on our production. And therefore, it's then easy to communicate to people. Yeah, we try to not make it just visual, of course. We more or less just focused on results itself, but this visuals helps a lot to communicate to people, to have a good channel to talk to all the levels of the company structure. Last but not least, important stuff is the user manual. So all what we created has documented. It's documented on already hundreds of pages, which helps our users to have the orientation. Before they really call us directly, they can take a look to the manual, which is created for them and which is really describing all what we have done, and they can simply find what they need. So it makes the work with our stuff much easier for them. Let's take a look to, let me say, main core objects who are handling our logistics logic. It would seem here very easy because it sounds like easy source and easy, let's say, processor called bus point and called bus action. But actually these two objects are driving all the logic around our logistics. Doesn't matter if it's in the production area or outside of the plant. These single squares are just driving the small ball, which is created by the source, and this creates all the action together with the AGV network system, which is created on the layout. You can see there also the preview of the GUI, which we also create on our own, of the object bus action, which creates stuff, milk run, like a tugger train, also operator, also the truck and AGV, whatever kind of transport forklift can perform. It can be unloading actions, it can be loading actions, it can be adding trailers and some special actions like using dispatcher, which then calls some other special functions, like for example, the direct supply or other tasks, which can be then stored in the dispatcher located nearby the production area. Also, responsibilities can be described in here. So which transporter shall be used for each material, which driver shall drive some tugger train, which place shall be used for stores, and so on and so on. Yeah, you can also restrict in here on top of AGV network setting a number of trailers which can be used in here in this section, and so on and so on. So I would say let's not talk too much about theory. Let's take a look also to a sample I prepared for you. Here is just basic logic of the model. So on the right top side, there will be, of course, some setting area where you can set some stuff around the model. There will be a store, which is handling the full packages and preparing them to be transported by tugger train in here to the production area, and also the empties will be transported back to the store to handle the empty packaging. That's just the simple description of the model. And we have also the cycle time for the tugger train, for the milk run, for 15 minutes, which means that he's always waiting in the store area to be loaded, and then it goes around to unload raw material, which is transported to the production area and back. This model is normally used for training. So we use this model for training of our new users for the logistics field. Therefore, it's really simple, but I take this as a good sample for demonstrating you our modeling and our methods. So let's jump out from the PowerPoint and show you directly the model. Here you can see it. So first of all, let me run it. You will see that on the left bottom side, there is this production area where the parts are on the flow racks and they are consumed. There are, let me say simply, squares who are representing the main parts. And then there are also empty packages prepared. On the opposite side, there is a store and there is a guy who is, let me say, driving this Tiger train, loading it, and then going for the production area. This works, let me say, well, based on the consumption, the orders are placed in here. Of course, there is a lot of logic behind, but what I'm going to show you first is this kind of logic with bus points and bus sections. Let me zoom in a bit. As you can see here, we have there one so-called AGV or transporter for taking parts. And we have there one bus point, which is in the end generating this kind of small black ball, who is then handled by each bus sections in the order when it's connected. I can show you also the connections. So this is simple. We have there just one stopping point in here, and we have there just one stopping point in here. And since they are just connected in that manner that this bus section is dedicated for unloading, so we do their unload of every single empty packages. In here, there is dedicated just the waiting time of 15 minutes, as I said in the beginning. And here it loads all the parts and calls the driver to take, let me say, the Tiger train and go for the line. Let's see a bit slowly what it does. So after the time is there, it shall be in 2700. Right now, he will start to load it and then go with it to the production where he unloads. And there is another technician who just cares about the supply within the storage area and the assembly line in here. So that's how it works. And this ball is traveling around always to call this transport. That's the simple logic, but it can actually do a lot of stuff for us. This model is very simple, as I said, but I can do there a lot of easy changes as the user who have no idea what coding is behind or what is really behind. I can just now say, yeah, I do not want to have there this manual driver. I would like to have there this, let's say, automated stuff. So I would like to have there just the AGV with traveling without a driver. I will just disconnect this guy. I will just simply say in here, I do not want to, let's say, use the driver. Then I need to do the same in here, because in the end there it can be, for example, for particular part, use the driver for any reason. I have to say again, I want to use the driver. Sorry, I do not want to use the driver. Let's put it like that. But in here, I wanted to say that not any driver would be here used for unloading, but I would like to use this guy. So I need to type his name in here, as well as in here for loading the parts. And there, uncheck the return driver button. Let's see that now this guy would be here just standing in the store and loading and unloading. And then the AGV would run on its own without any driver. Yeah, so he's gonna load that, but it works, let me say, autonomous. Yeah, that's easy. In case that I would see that we are, let's say, not able to supply the line, that, for example, the parts which are prepared to be transported are still staying there, although the Tiger train has gone, then we have troubles. Then, of course, our line is not supplied well and we need to fix it. The easiest thing I can do in here is just to simply open the bus point and want to copy the whole circuit, which means that it creates for me the same logic for the second Tiger train, or AGV in this case, with everything set already in the same manner. So now I have 2 of these transportations, and they are working in the same manner. So which means first the yellow one, which is taking everything which is available in here as well as in here. And if it's not enough, then also the blue one is running around and take the rest. So now the line should be supplied well. What that means? This means really, especially the fact that you can also later on set different responsibilities. So they will be not utilized like that this guy is always full and this is just taking some rest parts. You can also split the responsibility within these guys in the same manner. You would maybe ask one single question, which we asked also in the beginning when we created this logic, and that's how are you gonna really use this in the complex system, especially when you would say, yeah, right in the between of these two bus sections, I need another bus section because of some other logic. I need to put there another bus stop or whatever, and that would be also easy for us because we add there the logic also to add copies of these bus actions between each other. It can be also after, it can be before. So now clicking just this copy button, it creates for me the same bus action also already connected in here. In the same manner, when I would say, yeah, I do not need this anymore, and I do not have to disconnect and connect anything manually, I just open this one. I need to check that I really want to delete confirm, because in the end, I can accidentally delete it, and that's what I do not want to. And now it disappears and also the flow is there. So really from the user point of view, it's really easy. And that's why we develop this like that for our users, that they are mostly, in this case, guys, experts from logistics, and not at all any programmers or something that they can really program something. We do it for them. And that's our main role. That was about this simple model, and taking in consideration the time restrictions, we need to take a look also to another stuff. And that would be also, of course, more complex models, since my presentation is called Complex Plant Logistics. With the same logic, you are also able to create, I would say, the whole plant logistics with all the requests, with all the target trains, AGVs, also pedestrians walking by, for example, for the lunchtime or something, that we have the right blockage in here. So this is one of our plans. Of course, for some reason, I cannot show you the whole layout with it. It looks much better and much professional. I had to delete several stuff due to some just simply not allowing me to show everything on the public. But with these use cases, we have really significant good use cases and significant savings. And with our simple logic, let's call it like that, which is clever enough to handle really as much as the whole plants are around the world, we can have this stuff quite easily, and our users are really, I would say, able to do very, very complex models, which they will never ever be able to do with these libraries, methods, and templates. Let me go back to the presentation. And show you also some real samples of our use cases, which brings really high benefit. And that's also the reason why FlexSim simulations becomes the standard for HELA, and we use it for all new projects worldwide. Therefore, we also need significant amount of people, as you could see in the beginning, but we know that this invest is returned back quite quick. There are just 4 examples from different areas, not just from logistics. Of course, we do more than just logistics. And for example, on production area, with one simulation, we saved about 100 square meters just because we reorganized the supply chain and we reduced the stock in the supermarket. And therefore, we could use this quite significant amount of square meters for different purpose and for different projects. That's one of the samples. On the other use case, we saved 5 AGVs compared to our suppliers offer, which means that they offered us to take 10 AGVs to supply whole the plant, and we simulated it and saw that just 5 shall be sufficient with all the aspects like charging the batteries, for example. From the conveyor system perspective, we have a use case where we saved 100,000 euros just because of we calculated with the simulation right amount of workpiece carriers compared again to suppliers offer. And last but not least, the experience tells us that we save also really the manpower. One of the use cases showed us that the simulation with our methods, which are efficient and quite quick, can save really up to 20 man days for just our engineers, which are of course quite expensive to work on some projects. So it's safe also from different types of perspectives, the money for our company. That would be it from presentation time. And of course, I would like to say thank you for your attention and excited to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Tomáš. That's a very interesting presentation and a great insight into the work you've done with the HELA library and the logic. Are there any questions? Okay, it does look like we have one that came up. How long did it take to build up the inter-HELA knowledge of FlexSim?
When I take a look to the history, I'm in HELA 7 years, and it was slightly used already before, but of course not that much spread it, and it was just focused in the small group, and we were not so much focused on really this kind of large development and spreading the know-how. But so far I remember the usage of FlexSim is there about 9 years, and really last about 5 years it's getting much better and increasing rapidly for this usage and new licenses and new users. So within really last maybe 5 years, this is the most development, and also the team becomes more powerful. But together we are using FlexSim 9 years.
Excellent, thank you.
Welcome.
I think we have time for a few more questions if anyone else would like to get one in. Someone asked, can you import the layout?
Yes, of course.
I assume a lot of these models are based on CAD drawings and other things that you're importing directly.
Usually we are using PDF or simply JPEG for the reason that we need to just position the stuff on the right place. We could also work with CATIA files. We do it also for some presentation purpose. For example, when we want to make impression to our customers that we are really well prepared for taking some projects and so on. But I would say it's not that's typical that we really use some kind of CATIA data. We have some internal libraries which helps to build up models very quickly, but sufficient is to have just a background like in the PDF or JPEG, like 2D.
Thank you. This is an interesting question. And one I was thinking about, are there any compatibility problems with the HELA library when there are new updates of FlexSim?
Yes, there are. Unfortunately, this is the issue we have to pretty much solve. Not every single version. We also have to follow the latest trends, and it takes some time usually to follow. We try to be on the last update, but as far as you could see maybe in the model, we are now in 2020, and that's a simple reason. We have a lot of animations for operators. We have a lot of stuff which takes some time to transfer, and especially when there is, I don't know, new type of operators, when there is something really new, we have to check that and we have to fix that. So yeah, unfortunately, this is one of the painful stuff on libraries, which takes us some time to follow the last versions.
Thank you. And another question that came in, from your experience, what do you feel should be the starting point for applying FlexSim in a project?
In a project, which means,
or maybe applying a FlexSim in general in your experience.
In general, yeah. What we do with several locations internally in HELA, when there is some interest to use a simulation, like somebody is calling me, hey, we need a support, we need a simulation. First of all, we need to take a look to some concrete use case. We need to discuss if it makes sense, because of course, mostly it makes sense, but not for all the applications. And then prove it, yeah, to make some pilot to show really the benefit, and then it goes like an avalanche, yeah. So yeah, several projects we did, and then it started to be crazy. You can imagine that first of all, we were about just 3 guys and supporting all around the world, and it became not anymore possible. Therefore, we put the know-how in the locations. Yeah, so always I suggest to start with a pilot to see the powerful of the tool.
Let's see. Another one came in. Is the I assume I may be able to answer this as well, but is the Hella library shareable or open to the public so another user can try it?
Of course not. We spend there a significant amount of hours, and of course it's shared just within internal users.
We do appreciate you kind of giving us a little peek into that, though. I'm sure everyone found it very interesting to see the work that you've done in that. It's very impressive.
Thanks for that.
Is a network path used instead of an AGV path in the model?
No, it's the AGV system which is used for driving these bus sections and bus points.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, again, I can't thank you enough, Tomáš, for this presentation.
Thank you as well for inviting me for this event, and looking forward for further presentations.